It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 10, verse 1, and it reads, Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees, and that write grievousness which they have prescribed. And we read it in the NLT. What sorrow awaits the unjust judges and those who issue unfair laws. Verse 2 in the NLT, they deprive the poor of justice and deny the rights of the needy among my people. They prey on widows and take advantage of orphans. What will you do when I punish you, when I send disaster upon you from a distant land? To whom will you turn for help? Where will your treasures be safe? You will stumble along as prisoners or lie among the dead, but even then the Lord Yahweh Shemyahushai's anger will not be satisfied. His fist is still poised to strike. I want to start off by giving all praise, all honor, all glory to Allah Yahweh, Shem Yahushai, Shem Rakahakudash, and say double honors to the elders, to the apostles that told me this truth. Peace and salutations to the Akim across the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth with faith and with sincerity, as well as risking their lives and the freedom to do so now more so than ever. Shalom to the Akim and the Aqua that are listening and learning. Lord, willingly, this is edifying. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners scattered abroad in the land and other nations, appearing like the other nations who subscribe to this truth. To you, I say shalom to Brother Yahweh, and I'm coming at you with another lesson through the Spirit and through the power of Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai. And this lesson is inspired by this article. I don't know if I'm going to play it, but pretty much, if you're not familiar with, pretty much the Trump administration was floating the idea of sending American citizens to foreign prisons, and it was an individual from El Salvador that pretty much got caught up in that. Now, from what I followed, they said pretty much a judge ruled that the administration had to bring him back. From what the president of El Salvador is saying, he's saying pretty much they don't have to bring him back. How they gonna bring him back? And this is pretty much proving that that they doing what the fuck they want. So I don't even know what this statement means about homegrown criminals, but you gotta understand it's the administration that's gonna basically declare who they consider a criminal and who isn't. And if you was born here, but then they can just pretty much send you off to another country, then that lets you know this man is truly the cruel Lord, and they pretty much doing what they want. So by them getting this off with the one guy, it's gonna make it easier for them to do it to others. And you're gonna have these stupid ass Babylonians that's gonna be down with this. President Donald Trump on Monday doubled down on his idea of sending U.S. citizens to foreign prisons, telling El Salvador's President Nayib Bukele. It says El Salvador's President Nayib Bukele, he wanted to send homegrown criminals to his country next, according to a video posted by Bukele's office on X. The comments came as Trump welcomed Bukele, a key partner in his migrant deportations, to the White House amid controversy over the Supreme Court saying the administration should facilitate the return of a migrant from Maryland wrongfully sent to a notorious Salvadorian mega prison. El Salvador's Bukele, meeting with Trump, says he won't return migrant wrongfully deported. As the two men entered the Oval Office before reporters were allowed in the room, Trump discussed his proposal to send what he called American criminals accused of violent crimes to El Salvador, and told Bukele he needed to build more prisons to house them. Homegrown criminals next, Trump said, according to a live stream posted by Bukele's office. I said homegrowns are next to homegrowns. You got to build about 5 more places. Bukele was heard responding, all right, and others in the room laughed. It's not big enough, Trump added. Says Trump and various White House officials have repeatedly floated the idea of sending U.S. citizens to El Salvador and other places, something legal experts have said would be flatly unconstitutional. But it's proven that they're not even following the Constitution anymore. Like the elder has brought out often, presidents don't make law, but he's getting around making law by using these executive orders. So, with that being said, just make you go to, I'm going to get Isaiah chapter 19, because this got to be that cruel Lord dude. This is the book of Isaiah chapter 19 and verse 1. The burden of Egypt Behold, the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai rideth upon a swift cloud, and shall come into Egypt, and the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence, and the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it. And I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and the modern day Egyptians is these Edomites. And, you pretty much with this Trump administration, you had the MAGA people that voted this man in, and now they're against this administration because they see and realize they've been duped. And that's who's going to be giving them the biggest opposition, these other Edomites. Scripture talk about the Egyptian versus the Egyptian, or Second Ezra chapter 15. Sedition among men, invading one another. They shall not regard the kings nor princes. And they shall fight everyone against his brother, and everyone against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. Because you're going to have a civil war. You're going to have race wars as well, but you're going to have a civil war. Because you're going to have these Edomites that's, pretty much DJ Trump is looking for loyalists. I just started this new job, and it's funny at this job, it's funny how angry these Edomites is. I'm lightweight, because, to be honest, the Lord blessed. A lot more pay, but these Edomites, these Edomites so used to, they just complain about everything. I mean, I've never had a job where you trying to get in and they complaining, like these motherfuckers complaining. You know what I mean? Like, the thing is, like, we used to getting the short end of the stick, so it's funny. It's funny to hear these Edomites upset. Fuck, Salakia. You know. And that's who gonna, like I said again, give them the biggest opposition is gonna be these Edomites. Verse 3, and the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof, and I will destroy the counsel thereof, and they shall seek to the idols, and to the charmers, and to them that have familiar spirits, and to the wizards. They're gonna go and, consult their left-hand sorceries, but that's not gonna benefit them, Make you think about Elijah. The deadline for applying for the and the prophets of Baal. They was cutting themselves, and them left hand sorceries is not, benefiting them now, because the scriptures tell you that the deceived and the deceiver are both his, So the Lord allowed them, them left hand spirits to pretty much, get them so far, but ultimately, eventually, that left hand sorcery is not going to benefit them. Verse 4, and the Egyptians will I give over into the hand of a cruel Lord, and a fierce king shall rule over them, saith the Lord Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, the Lord of hosts. This is not a scam. You, what's that? Isaiah chapter 13, the king of Babylon. DJ Trump is the king of Babylon, and he's a cruel Lord. Because again, by them getting that off, now I don't know if this guy was a migrant or what, but I do know they said he was a resident of Maryland. So which one is it? You know what I mean? But just as easily, it's been a few incidents where people that were actually citizens got caught up in these migrant raids where they pretty much just and that's the thing about government. Government is big. This is not a scam. If you are an American over the age of like others was bringing out, like pretty much we're not really being affected by these different tariffs and all these different things. Like it's going to take a moment for it to start kicking in. So a couple months from now, that's when you're really going to see the effects of it. You know what I mean? I think the Lord did something specifically with my situation for a particular reason. Yeah. Lord, everything is the will of the Lord. Sometimes, maybe he had that, he had a particular situation happen with me and Esau, Edom. That just proved that they was watching, or they are watching. It's funny, this homegrown terrorist shit. Why you say it like that? Or homegrown criminals. Why do you say that like that? You got to question that. Like, is this devil moves calculated? This is the book of Psalms 94 and verse 20. And it reads, shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee, which frameth mischief by law? And who is the throne of iniquity? Esau, Edom is in power, and and we know, the scriptures talk about how, Esau Edom is the border of wickedness. So meaning all wickedness begins and ends with Esau Edom. And they are in power right now. They're in the power sits. So, and again, him passing these decrees, these executive orders pretty much is, you know, this is going to cause a lot of mischief. Because again, this is, administration can deem who they want to call is the criminal. You know, that's the thing about the government. The government can sit up there and do all kind of crooked shit, or or accuse you of something and then be found wrong and not held accountable. You know, or won't be held accountable because because they in rulership. But we know how the story's written. Yeah, you already can see the persecution coming. They're trying to set up, you know, to to blame, you know. But we also know once they try to put their hands on the real men of the Lord, that you know that's when the Lord got them in the trick bag. So this is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 7, in verse 25, and it reads, "Destruction cometh, and they shall seek peace, and there shall be none." Yeah. This place is not getting better. This place is gonna get worse. And like I said, and the more desperate these people get, you know, just prepare your mind and your spirit for persecution. Because that's part of the movie as well. Not true enough, the Lord is gonna protect some people. The Lord is gonna hide some men. You know, every man story or situation isn't gonna be the same. But for a testimony, some men are gonna, be, persecuted. The elder even said that. He said you're gonna have some men that might get caught up in being sent to another, to that prison. You know, it's however Yahweh Shemel Shah wants it to play out. This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 7, and I'm going to start at verse 5, and it reads, "Thus saith the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, power or evil, and only evil behold is come." So, evil, bad times is coming. I mean, like I said, we're in it to a degree right now, but even more bad times is coming. That's why verse 25 says, "Destruction cometh, they shall seek peace, and there shall be none." Yeah. How did the elder word it? It's gonna get worse before it get worse. So, stay locked in, stay focused, and stay prayed up, because you know, we gonna need to have supernatural faith right now. So with that, I'm going to end the lesson. If you're so-called Black, Hispanic, Native American, Seminole Indian, West Indian, or Haitian, I implore you to come back to the laws, statutes, and commandments. Your power, whose true name in the Paleo-Hebrew is Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushua, you will be destroyed. With that, I want to give all praise, I want to give all honor, I want to give all glory to God, like Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushua, by Hashem Hakodash. I want to say double honors to the elders and to the apostles. Taught me this truth. Peace and salutations to the Akim across the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth with faith and with sincerity, as well as risking their lives and the freedom to do so, now more so than ever. Shalom to the Akim and the Akwata to listen and learning, Lord, willingly this is edifying. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners scattered abroad in the land of other nations, appearing like the other nations, with subscribing to this truth. To you I say shalom. Till next time, Lord, willingly, shalom, shalom. Kwame Asherallah, Mawaf, Lababal.